Subwoofers, and I've been working in the field of car audio and mobile electronics for over 8 years. I've installed everything from navigation systems to full car stereo systems, remote starters, alarms, and beyond. To learn more, visit our website at www.movingon.com. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my knowledge on car audio and mobile electronics. In any musical environment, there are highs, mids, and lows. Highs are considered treble, mids are usually vocals and snares and things like that, and then lows, that's where your subwoofer comes in. Now bass is not directional, which means that anywhere that there's bass you can hear it from. So oftentimes, to add bass to a car stereo, we put what's called a subwoofer into the trunk of the car. From the trunk, it sounds like it's coming from everywhere inside the car, unlike the little speakers that are up in your dash, tweeters, or the woofers that are in your door. Installing a subwoofer can help lighten the load on your car stereo speakers by letting you play them flat and using the subwoofer to pick up on all those really low frequencies. Subwoofers come in all shapes and sizes. There are small subwoofers that you can fit under a seat. There are big subwoofers that take up the entire trunk, and there are subwoofers that are everything in between. If you just want a little bit of bass in your car, we can add an 8-inch subwoofer or a 10-inch subwoofer. Some people get two 12s. Obviously, the bigger the subwoofer, the more power you're going to need to make it move. Amplifiers are always going to be needed when you add a subwoofer. If your car came with a high-end sound system, chances are you have a small subwoofer built right into it. You can usually tell if you look in your doors and your front doors and you see that there's speakers in all four, and then you have some extra ones in the rear deck. A typical car stereo is going to break up if you turn up the bass too much. So oftentimes the best option is to leave the bass flat and add a small subwoofer to pick up the extra load. This way you can turn the car stereo up without your music distorting, and the subwoofer is going to pick up all the bass. Because subwoofers are big and they move a lot of air, they can easily produce bass and give your music impact. It's going to make everything sound a little bit louder, and it's going to make your speaker's job a little bit easier because they're not going to pick up those low frequencies that they're not designed to handle. My name's Subwoofers, and I've been working in the field of car audio and mobile electronics for over 8 years. I've installed everything from navigation systems to full car stereo systems, remote starters, alarms, and beyond. To learn more, visit our website at www.movingon.com. When wiring an amplifier for maximum efficiency, you want to make sure that your subwoofer is wired at the proper impedance. The invention of the dual voice coil subwoofer vastly simplified this task for car stereo shops. For instance, a dual 2-ohm subwoofer can be wired at 1 ohm, or it can be wired at 4 ohms. A dual 4-ohm subwoofer can be wired down to 2 ohms, or it can be wired up to 8 ohms. If you have two subwoofers, the dual voice coil setup becomes even more useful because you can wire these subwoofers together to obtain the proper impedance for that amplifier's maximum efficiency. Before dual voice coil subwoofers became widely available, you'd need to purchase a separate subwoofer for each type of amp configuration. If you're using 2 subwoofers or 1 subwoofer, now you have to buy different types of subwoofers and you have to stock 4 different ones in your stock room. As a car stereo shop, this means we can stock 1 or 2 different types of subwoofers instead of 5. Dual voice coil subwoofers are also typically more robust and can handle more power because they have 2 voices. My name's Subwoofers, and I've been working in the field of car audio and mobile electronics for over 8 years. I've installed everything from navigation systems to full car stereo systems, remote starters, alarms, and beyond. To learn more, visit our website at www.movingon.com. Because subwoofers are such a popular item, we have a lot of people coming in asking the same questions. Subwoofers are misunderstood. Because subwoofers get a bad reputation a lot of times because people play them so loud, a lot of times people say, is my subwoofer going to sound like that? Is it going to rattle my trunk? And the answer is, yeah, if you want it to, but if you don't want it to, it's not. A properly installed and adjusted subwoofer is going to blend in with the rest of the sound in your car, and you're going to love the way it sounds. It's only going to improve the way your car stereo is. If your objective is to drive down the street and be heard for blocks, then we can put 2 12-inch subwoofers in your car and a 3,000-watt amplifier, and good for you. But in most cases, we're going to make it blend in with the car stereo that it's being integrated with. We often get asked, do I need an amplifier for my subwoofer? And the answer is yes, always. Subwoofers will always need an amplifier. Whether it's a self-powered amplifier with an amp built into it, or it's your standard subwoofer that gets screwed into a wooden box. Subwoofers are big, and yes, they need an amp. The great thing about subwoofers is their versatility. They can be added to just about any car stereo system just the way it is. If you get a car right from the factory with a great sound system and you want a little bit more impact, we can add a subwoofer right onto it. If you're having your entire system redone, we can custom build a subwoofer right into the system to meld in with all the other speakers. We get asked about subwoofer sizes a lot. If you want deep bass, you get a 12-inch. If you want kind of normal bass, you get a 10-inch. If you want tight, punchy bass, you get an 8-inch. A lot of that's going to depend on the amount of space that you're willing to give up and the type of bass that you want. Because a lot of people have the preconceived notion that a subwoofer is a big clunky object that's going to take up tons of space in the trunk. A lot of times people ask, can I hide the subwoofer? Well, first of all, there are a lot of custom-built boxes that are made to fit your specific vehicle. It'll look like it's part of the sidewall of the trunk, or sometimes it replaces a part of the car like an armrest. There are self-powered units that can be hidden right underneath the driver or passenger seat. These self-powered units are nowhere near as big and nowhere near as loud as most subwoofers, but they get the job done and they fit in tight spaces. A lot of people ask us, if you're putting the subwoofer in my trunk, then how am I going to hear it? Well, the great thing about bass and the sound that subwoofers produce is that it is not directional at all. If you put a subwoofer behind you, in front of you, to the left of you, you can't tell where the sound is coming from. Bass is omnidirectional. We like to think of bass as water, and we like to think of treble like pins and needles. Pins and needles are not going to be able to make it through walls, but water is. It goes through everything. The bass that comes from subwoofers is the same way. We usually face it towards the back of the car in the trunk, and you can't tell where it's coming from. My name's Seth Alvo, and I've been working in the field of car audio and mobile electronics for over 8 years. I've installed everything from navigation systems to full car stereo systems, remote starters, alarms, and beyond. To learn more, visit our website at www.movingon.com. Subwoofers come in many shapes and sizes. Circles, squares, triangles, pentagons. Triangular subwoofers we all laugh at. Anybody at a legitimate shop would never sell anybody a triangular subwoofer. It's a gimmick, it's just to sell you it. They'll use some kind of marketing tactic to make you think that it's better, but it's not. A triangle does not provide more surface area, and it doesn't provide a better surface for a sound wave to come off of. Probably the best shape a subwoofer could be is a circle. A sound wave is a circle, therefore a speaker that's shaped like a circle is going to produce the best sound wave. Square subwoofers actually do have one advantage, and that's that they have more surface area for the box that they're on. Because they cover more area on the box, they move more air. Typically for sound quality, we go with circular subwoofers, and 99% of the subwoofers that are sold are circular.
In a musical composition. For centuries, we've all shared a similar response to low-frequency sound, regardless of our particular preference in music. Across cultures and genres, what is it about bass that sends chills to our soul and gives music so much power? We as humans are deeply rooted to rhythm before we're even born. According to cognitive science, Karen Stromswold of Rutgers University, once the hearing part of the brain starts to function, a fetus hears mostly low-frequency sounds, like its mother's heartbeat and the rhythm of her voice. Higher frequency tones that come from outside the mother's body are drowned out. Scientists think that these low-frequency sounds may be a crucial factor in a baby's early language acquisition. After birth, this connection continues and is apparent everywhere. Bass in music has a unique impact on the human body. It can even cause changes in our adrenaline and heart rate. When listening to music, our brains track the rhythm through a process called neural entrainment. Upper and lower bass notes range from about 32 to 512 hertz, and these low-frequency sounds direct our interpretation of the beat. And if you're wondering why the beat is so important to a song, ask yourself, why are bones so important to the body? They're the structure. The bass line is the foundation that the melody hangs upon. Last year, Canada McMaster's Institute for Music and the Mind conducted a study to test the human brain's response to high and low frequency tones in music. High and low pitched piano notes were played simultaneously for 35 participants. Occasionally, one of the two notes was played 50 milliseconds off beat. When participants detected these breaks in the rhythm, it triggered spikes in their brain response, otherwise known as mismatch negativity. These spikes happen much more often with changes in the low notes. The study found that the human brain is a lot more sensitive to timing deviations in lower frequency tones, which is why we're more accepting of fluctuations within a song's melody and more easily confused by fluctuations within a song's bass line. The director of this institute, neuroscientist Dr. Laurel Trainer, concludes that virtually all people will respond more to the beat when it's carried by lower-pitched instruments. Although these studies are fairly new, musical composers have played off of people's organic response to bass since the Stone Age. So next time the beat drops, consider the fact that you are reacting to a connection with sound that you've had before you were born. It's something that connects us all, and it's all about the bass.
For more details, click the link in the description. Thanks for watching the video. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel.